Hey, we are officially live. I'm still nervous.
Don't be.
Alrighty, so if anyone is joining us, please say hi. And if you have wine, feel free to have some, or beer, or whatever drink, because this is going to be a fun discussion. Because I had mine, because I'm a nervous wreck, as Emily knows. But anyways, so today we're going to be discussing. Hi, Grace. So glad you could join us. Hi, Miss Potter. We're going to be talking about Spinning Silver, Have a Horrible Glare, written by Naomi Novik. And I just want to quickly thank my lovely friend Emily for joining me. This was her suggestion to have this discussion. And hi, Courtney. And we have decided to buddy read this last month, but unfortunately it didn't exactly turn out to be a buddy read. I ended up finishing it in a week. Emily here took like a month. I swear I thought she was going to DNF it. Oh, Grace, the wine, it is called Sweet Red, and might I tell you that I brought the whole bottle with me. Yeah, it's really sweet. If you like sweet wine, this is the one to get. Thomas says it tastes exactly like the one that he got from Italy. So yeah. So as I was saying, Emily took about a month to read this. And she wanted to discuss it. And we're going to try to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, because I know that most of you guys that are watching have never read Spinning Silver. But if we ever get to the point that we do get into spoilers, I'll just hold up the book so you guys know. And then once I put down the book, then we're back in non-spoiler territory. I do want to stress that this is in no way related to Uprooted. You do not need to read Uprooted first before this. But I have heard that it is a companion novel. I'm not sure how true that is. Emily, is it really considered a companion novel?
I don't think so. I think you can read it by itself. It's a different world, different cultures too. The first one's Polish, the second one's Jewish.
Oh, sorry, Grace. Thomas, you don't have to leave. If I have the book up, you could just hit the mute or turn the volume down. Sorry. I'm a nervous wreck, you guys. You have no idea. Yeah, if I have this up, if you can see it, you can just mute it. And then once I put the book down, then you could unmute it. So, but hopefully it doesn't. Thomas, I'm about to kick you off this chat. You are distracting me. But anyways, and before we get started, I just want to do a couple of shout outs. First to Steven from the Lawn Gnome. He's the reason why I figured out how to do this live video in the first place. He gave me like step-by-step instructions. So Steven, if you're watching this, thank you. Also want to give shout outs to anyone that has retweeted my announcements or my reminder of this live show, like Grace, Eliza from Eliza Reads, and well, thank you, Ms. Hodder. I'm glad that you think so. I think Cami has also retweeted as well. And if I'm missing anyone, I am so sorry. So, seems like everyone's getting along in chat. So Spinning Silver is that like a spinoff of the Disney Princess? No, it is not. It's actually a very loose retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. Yeah, so hi, Mia. No, just a loose retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. And if you don't know what this is about, basically our main character is Miriam. She is Jewish, and her father is a moneylender. And he's a very soft-hearted moneylender, doesn't do that job very well. So they end up on the verge of poverty because he doesn't collect the debts. So Miriam, she hardens herself, like her heart, and she takes those debts. And she's, as hard as she possibly can. She then earns the reputation of turning silver into gold, which then later captures the attention of this nameless Stark king that's from this winter world realm where there's magic. And he gives Miriam an impossible task, and then more characters are drawn into the story. So I think that's really all you need to know before going into this book. Emily, do you want to add anything?
Nope. I think you're doing a great job.
So with that said, if you guys have any questions, Emily's so quiet. I'm about to put her on the spotlight. Don't you worry, because this is our show. It's not just mine. She's the one that brought up this idea. Thank you, Stephen. So,
questions?
Well, first I'm going to ask you what your overall thoughts are about spinning silver. Because like I said, I thought you were going to DNF this book because you did take so long to read this.
I almost did. Like, it was because of you. You kept saying, oh my God, the ending is so good. And that's why I kept going with it. But honestly, this book is just, it's a bit slow paced than what I'm used to. But there's a lot of like really nice character building. So you don't really get to the fun stuff until the end. And I think that's the reason why it just took me so long to read. But then once I got to the end, like the last maybe 25% of the book, I was hooked because I really want to know what's going to happen. Character building is always like, it always takes really a long time for me to get through. But other than that, I mean, I think this is a good book. I give it a 4-star.
Yeah, speaking of 4 stars, I'm about to dock a star from my 5-star rating. Just because I will say, though, that the reason why I'm thinking about moving my star rating from a 5-star to a 4-star is because Emily did bring up to my attention a couple of days ago about the magic. There's just, and I'm not going to say what because that's just going to bring it to spoilers, but the magic wasn't exactly explained very well. And it does involve gold coins. And I don't know if anyone that's watching that has read this book, if maybe you could clarify that, just the relationship between the gold coins from that winter realm to the mortal world. I think that if the magic was explained better, then it would have been a lot nicer. But now I'm just confused on it. Yeah, gold coins.
I texted you. I was like, how does Miriam go from, you know how she is a moneylender, she can turn silver into gold, but not literally, right? She just know how to deal with money, and she knows she's just really handy with money. But then once she's in the winter world, she's actually able to do that, like with a touch of her hand. Remember how I was so confused how that kind of magic happened?
Yeah.
So I actually found the page that explains it. It's just,
am I holding up my book for this? Because that's
yeah.
like, okay.
I'm going to put up the book. So how the magic happens is basically, if you can do it 3 times in the mortal world, then you can do it.
Okay, that makes sense.
In their world. Because there was Sarah King explained to her, like, because she was like, how can I do magic in your world? You don't need me, don't take me to your world. And he explained to her, if you can do it 3 times, that means you can do it in my world. So that's how the magic came to be. But then isn't that kind of random? That's how she has magic, is she could do it 3 times.
Yeah, I think there's just something with the number 3. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that was a very good question. Oops. Sorry, Grace. Basically, I was reading some of the comments. He says magic, it isn't meant to be explained.
That's so true. Aw.
So he says the rule of threes and everything, threes and sevens. This is true. So yeah, okay, now that's taken care of. Now I understand. So for those of you guys that are watching, if you're not with one other thing that I really liked about this book is that there's some cultural references. With Uprooted from Naomi Novik, there are Polish references, so you get kind of an insight to Polish culture. And she does the same thing with Spinning Silver with the Jewish culture. You see the references to Jewish culture. You kind of get an insight to that. And what she also does with this book is that you can feel the tension between Miriam and her people. Her people aren't very well looked at for some reason. They're kind of discriminated against. And how Naomi Novik portrayed that tension or that discrimination, I feel like she's done really well. And you could also see how that affects Miriam and how that kind of makes her colder as a person. Because I mean, I think we can all relate if we're kind of just looked down upon for either our heritage or our beliefs, we kind of don't want to care about anyone else. Or I think with Miriam, you can kind of see where she's coming from in that aspect.
Yeah. And I actually read an interview where, well, not interview, like a Q&A that the author did with Reddit. She talked about how that was like one of the focus of the book was to show Jewish discrimination. And I remember asking Lori, like, what does Jewish people look like? I have no idea what they look like. How is it that the people in the book know immediately when they see someone Jewish, they know that they're Jewish? And that was one of the confusion that I got. I was really confused because I don't know what Jewish people look like. I guess they have dark curly hair, right?
I think they're known for their dark hair, but also the men, you can kind of distinguish them by their hat, I think.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Because I know they wear that a lot. But also, fun fact, if you guys don't know, Naomi Novik is also a Polish and Jewish descent. So that's pretty cool because she implemented both of those cultures in Uprooted and Spinning Silver. So yeah, I just find that very interesting.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about, this is probably going to have some spoiler, is why do the Stark King steal gold? I don't understand that. Or why does he need gold? Because probably needs to explain the gold and silver and the summer the winter thing, right?
I don't know. I don't want to give too much away.
That's true. Oh my gosh. That's the one question. I don't understand why he wants gold so bad.
That we might have to text about because I know pretty much everyone watching right now hasn't read the book, and I want them to read the book. Like, you guys, you need to read this book, okay? Oh, Stephen, are you of Jewish descent as well? He says if you want to know anything about Jewish culture or the Jewish faith, you can talk to me. That's pretty cool.
Oh, please do. Okay, that's ass. Let's see. Sabbath. Let's talk about Sabbath.
Oh, hi, Dad. He says it could also be from the stereotype of old in character with respects towards Jews or others for that matter. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep, that could be it as well. You were saying, Emily?
Oh, if Steve can kind of mention how they celebrated Sabbath.
Let's see. I don't know if Steven, if you could enlighten us. You said the Sabbath, Emily?
Yeah. Because it was mentioned in the book that they celebrated and it was kind of important to her. And the Star King didn't understand. Yeah, yes, Sabbath.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely yeah, I know what you're talking about because she's very faithful with her faith. Like she's always determined to keep to the Sabbath. It doesn't matter what she's doing or what somebody else asks of her. She wants to keep the Sabbath.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. You kind of get into the glimpse of their faith as well. So I really like that because I don't know much about it either. So
Sorry, I probably pronounced it wrong.
yeah, and Stephen says Sabbath is to remember the day of rest, meaning the day that God rested after creating the world. So that's pretty cool. Is that why? Is that always on a Saturday? That I do not know. Hi, Kayla. Yes, you really need to read this book. It's really good. What else should we? What did you think? Okay, one thing that I did not like about this book, and it's just one thing, was you know how in most books when you're switching from character to character, they have the character's name at the top of the page. So in this book, just in case you guys aren't aware, you do not get a warning or an indication when you're going to switch to a new character. And you're following multiple characters in this book, and you don't know which character you're reading about until you just keep reading. And I wish that could have been done better.
That I thought about it for so long. I didn't understand why she didn't choose to write the name on there, like their names, and so that way we are warned, like, oh, okay, so this is another character talking. The more I think about it, I think it's because the voice of the narrative changes as the character based on the character. So you can definitely tell once you get used to the characters, right? You can definitely tell when the characters like their voice coming out. For example, like when Stepan was the little boy, right? Wanda's little brother. When he talks, you can see how it's much more simpler in tone, and it sounds like a little boy talking.
Yeah, I definitely caught on to that as well. Yeah, you're right.
I think that's why she chose to do that, because she wants the voice to come out instead of just her telling you who it's supposed to be. I think that's why. But in the beginning, it was so confusing. It was really, really confusing. Like I lose track. I kept going back and forth. Maybe that's why it took me so long to read it.
I did have to reread that page, some of the pages over again to make sure that who I'm reading is a certain character. But yeah, you're right. You can definitely, when you switch to a new character's part in the book, you can see the difference in the voices, as you say, just how they talk, and I think the writing itself, really. And speaking of writing, I thought this was really well written. It was very magical and not hard to follow along for the most part. It's definitely very character driven. It's not so much plot heavy.
Yeah. I don't, even though it took me to read it, I don't regret reading it. I thought, especially towards the end, I thought the book was really, really well written. And the world building is great. There just needs to be I just feel like there should be more explanation, but I love the writing style a lot. I really, really do. Everything serves its purpose. Like the slow character building, you getting to know all those characters. I mean, there are a lot of characters in this book, and you get to know every single one of them and their personality. And I thought that, for the author to do that, it was pretty good.
Yeah. And also going back to the characters, the villains of the characters were also really interesting. I found myself wanting to know more about the villains and their motives.
Yeah. There was one thing that I wish there was more of it, or like more explanation, is the romance. It kind of just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So the book does, when you read the book, there's really no hint of romance at all, but it does, some of it does develop later on, and it does kind of seem like it did come out of nowhere. But at the same time, if you're looking at the timeline, I guess it's okay, because I feel like this takes over a span of months, just from the beginning of the book to the end.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, it didn't really bother me too much. I don't know if I'd really consider it insta love either, because I know a lot of people are not fond of insta love. I mean, I'm okay with it. I don't mind it as long as it's done right. It didn't, the romance didn't bother me. I was actually pretty okay with it, especially at the end. So,
I was going back in the beginning of the few chapters, and I realized there was hints of the Star King being a good guy. In the beginning, I've always thought, he's a bad guy, Andre, but there was hints of it. Because do you remember that part? You should probably put up your book.
oh my gosh. Well, when you're talking, you're the one that's on the screen.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you remember the part where this Carrie take her to her grandfather's house? This old guy. Do you remember him?
I don't remember who said
guy. Huh?
Can you say that again?
Do you want me to say it again?
Yeah, say it again, because I kind of cut off a little bit.
Okay. So there was this guy that takes Miriam to her grandfather's house. It's always the same guy with the carriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, at some point, when she had a lot of gold in her back, it was like 60 pieces of gold or something like that, and he attacked her. And that's when he intervened. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean,
and he ended up killing him.
Yeah. Well,
kind of show that he was a good guy, right?
I guess in a way, I don't know. I mean, there are hints that sometimes the villain isn't the villain that you think he is. So that's another thing about the book, that people aren't exactly always what they seem. Speaking of problematic, Grace says there seems to be a lot of problematic things with the book. I don't think there's a lot of problematic things with the book. Can you think of any problematic things, Emily?
No. But Grace, my favorite part of the book is definitely the part about summer and winter and the magic stuff that's going on. That's definitely my favorite part. I've never had anything like it before.
Yeah, I think this was definitely, I've never read Rumpelstiltskin. I remember bits and pieces of it from what I've heard of the story, but I think this is a pretty good original take on that, because I don't think I've ever read anything like this either. And Thomas Dawson says reminds me of fairies. I guess the Stark people could be compared to fairies in a way, or the Fae. I guess they could, but they're not considered part of the Fae at all, I don't think. I feel like they're their own race.
There was one part I don't like, and that's the part that you don't like either. It's the part where child abuse. Did I get cut off?
Okay, now you're back.
I remember there was one part that I don't really like, where it's the child abuse.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not really a spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is, I guess this is where you say trigger warning. Trigger warning for child abuse, for spousal abuse. There are some like good family dynamic representation in here. So you have, in this book, you have examples of really good parents, right? And then you have an example of a really bad parent. So if you're not, I mean, child abuse isn't like throughout the entire book. So I don't think it's really that hard to read. But I don't know how else to talk about that. But
Well, it was a happy ending for the kids, right? Because things got better for them.
yeah, I mean, they definitely, the kids that are subject to the child abuse, they've kind of, they learn to, you know, keep pushing forward, and they learn what it means to love. You definitely get that theme of love in there, family love. You know how, and I mentioned this in my wrap up, that you know how in fantasy books that there really isn't a good family figure, because in fantasy books parents are normally not around, they're dead, or they just never mentioned in the book. But in this book, they're prominent, especially Miriam's parents specifically. I think they're really good examples of great parents that want to do what they can for their children, that would, you know, that example of how much they'd sacrifice to keep their children safe. You definitely can see the love of parent to child, and even the love of a child to their parent. Grace, wait, Lori, have you? If you're asking if I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, yes, I have. I read all 3 books and I loved them.
It looks like Thomas has read them too.
Yes, we have read a couple books together. And by the way, might I say that we've had some interesting discussions where he likes to play devil advocate. So, you know, that's fun. He takes after my dad in that aspect. Oh, no, it's good. It provides good discussion. So maybe one day Thomas can join us on a live video, and then he's actually very good with debates. Oh, look, Emily's all for it too.
Yes, please. Let's all read a book together.
Ooh, Law, no, my wife loves the court series. She read Akamath 6 times. Wow. I believe that's the second book, right? I think that's the second book, A Court of Mist and Fury. That one is a really good book. I think out of the 3 books, that one is my favorite. Oh, yes, you, Dad. You like to play devil's advocate quite a lot.
I have never read that book. Read the Throne and Roses. I guess I know that you guys loved it so much.
It definitely, okay, a lot of people would think that this is a completely shift change of what we're talking about, but A Court of Thorns and Roses series, people have talked about that there are some problematic issues in that series. I won't go into that. I mean, if you decide to read it, you can, you know, we can discuss that later. But it's considered new adult, and there's. I'd be interested to hearing your thoughts if you ever pick up that book. The first one I didn't like at all, and then the second one and third one I thought were better. So, but they're
yeah. Got like a stack of books I need to read.
So back to Spinning Silver. What else should we talk about?
Talk about everything without spoiling anyone, right?
Yeah, as much as we can. But I think our friends in the group chat talking about A Court of Thorns and Roses. I do like that this is also an adult fantasy. I kind of wish that this turned into a series though, because I just think that the world and the characters were just written so well, and I want more of it.
Yeah, you mentioned that you like Uprooted too.
Yeah, I think out of the two, I think I like Spinning Silver better.
Spinning Silver, yeah, definitely. I mean, especially towards the end, like, wow, the action scene, which confused me a little bit, but I kind of understand, yeah. I'd be one of those books where I want to go back and reread again.
I would definitely. I don't normally reread books at all, but I would definitely reread this. I might even reread this probably in December because of, the winter aspect. I just think that'd be like the perfect time to reread this book is when it's snowing here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to read all the comments.
Okay, there's a lot of comments.
Oh, okay. Was Grace asking if Spinning Silver is not a series, unfortunately. It's a standalone. But once you get to the ending, it makes sense that it's a standalone.
But it does make you curious what happened to them, happily ever after. Because it is a happy ending. It's definitely a happy ending book. Mm-hmm. The bad guy, gets what he deserves. And yeah, it's a happy ending.
I honestly didn't know where the ending was going to go, just with
me either.
Yeah, just how I'm getting better at predicting twists in a book, but with this one, I just had no idea what was going to happen. I'm actually curious to see if Thomas, if he reads this book, I'm actually curious to see if he'll spot the twist because I didn't. And I was surprised that you didn't because I think you're pretty good at spotting twists too. So
yeah. Thomas mentioned that you annotated like crazy in the book. What did you annotate?
I didn't annotate this one. I should have, especially since if I would have known like last month that we were going to be having this discussion. But it's fine. I've been annotating Torch Against the Night by Sabah Tahir, which I am buddy reading with Grace. Yes. Yes, I've been annotating that one like crazy. Thomas just doesn't understand, but that's okay. Let's see.
Thomas said you'll bring it to work. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool that this discussion has inspired him to read this book. I'm very curious now. Plus, I think, I don't know. I honestly don't know
what. The cover? The cover?
Mm-hmm.
It's really pretty. I'm assuming that's Miriam.
Yes, that is Miriam.
And the Star King is really ugly.
Well,
he's the one
winter, so.
I have nothing else to add. You?
I've been trying to think because, before we started this live video, I had it all in my head, like all the stuff that I wanted to talk about. And then I pressed that start broadcast button, and then all that went away.
Yeah, same here, but mostly because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So that's why I kind of like paused myself not to mention any of the spoiler stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think overall this is a good book to read if, anyone's into fantasy or retellings for that matter. I think it's well written. I think you have a good mix of, I don't know, would you consider any of these characters morally gray? I guess the Stark King could be considered morally gray. What do you think?
Morally gray?
Yeah.
What about Tia's, Irina's husband, the Tsar?
Yes. Oh, thanks, Dad.
We don't know what happened to him.
I think, okay, I guess that's another thing. Some characters' endings, I think, are left to your own interpretation, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, see, Thomas loves morally great characters. I think Thomas, when you read this book, I think you're gonna be more into the villains, because I think after kind of reflecting on the characters, I think that the characters that are considered villains, they're really more morally gray. They're doing what they think is right, and it may not be considered right to someone else. And then with Miriam, um, I could definitely describe that her character is she's willing to do, like I said, whatever it takes. And she's not, I mean, she doesn't let anyone bully her pretty much. And then you have a different character like Wanda, who is very hesitant and cautious. And you just get a variety of characters, I think, in this book, which I really, really enjoyed. And I think you can relate to at least one of them. Thomas would definitely relate to the villains. So.
And they're all distinct characters. I think that's what makes it so important. Like, they're so different, and you get a sense of them too, the way that the writer writes it.
Mm-hmm.
The part that kind of like breaks my heart is that Miriam has to become harsh or like cold inside
Mm-hmm.
in order for her to become tough.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of relates to the real world, where we have to be have to be tough to be seen as powerful. And I think that part, I really, really resonate with that.
Yeah, that's very relatable. Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. You cut off a little bit. You broke up a little bit. So you said so you could relate to that, basically?
Yeah. Like, you kind of have to be tough. You kind of have to be cold and
Mm-hmm.
really harsh in
Mm-hmm.
order to be taken seriously, in order to be seen as powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're soft and gooey and kind, then people don't take you as seriously. I
There
think a
we go.
lot of like women see you.
You just brought up a point that
Go ahead.
I forgot to make. That goes with Miriam's father, the soft-hearted moneylender. He's a really great example of how your kindness can be taken advantage of.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, and Steven says, "Yep, the beauty of Google Hangouts, you're going to get those little freeze moments. You'll get used to it." Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, your kindness, and you could be as kind as you want, but the other person could easily take advantage of that. And I think that was definitely one of the main reasons why Miriam was very against being kind at all, because she didn't want that to be taken advantage of her as well. So I think that, and also the role of a daughter. The role of a daughter is also portrayed in this book. Like, is the role of a daughter supposed to be taking care of the family when really it's usually the father taking care of the family? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And her
definitely.
role is kind of being questioned on what she should do, on what the image of a daughter should do. Because during, at least in this time period in the book, she's really supposed to be concentrating on who to marry and, planning a family of her own and all that. But instead, she takes it upon herself to take care of her parents instead of her parents taking care of her. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
I guess they're still talking about morally gray. Yep. Yeah, Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I heard there's morally great characters in that one too.
Yeah. That book is about villains.
Yeah.
I think Thomas did that.
I think Thomas would enjoy that too. She also wrote the Shades and Magic series, so which was good.
Which I need to read.
Yes, you do. There's a lot of books you need to read.
Oh my god. I'm so behind.
Morally gray is something that is being seen a great deal in books and film, etc. Yeah. Yeah, they are. I mean,
I'm trying to think of a movie. Deadpool? Right? Deadpool?
I've never seen Deadpool. Never watched it. Yeah. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
And when I asked Thomas about Deadpool, I mean, he's definitely, I think, a morally great character from what he said. And I'm sure maybe Steven also has probably seen seen Deadpool, maybe because I know he watches a lot of films as well. So he does a lot of movie reviews. Yeah, Thomas says, I love it. So active on the chat. That's awesome. Princess Mona. Trying to think if there's anything else. But yeah, variety of characters, really great. I think writing, awesome. I don't think there's really anything else that could be said about the book without going into spoiler territory. But I mean, anyone that's watching, would you be interested in reading Spinning Silver? Because if any of you guys that are watching read Spinning Silver, I'd love to know your thoughts. I think overall this book has gotten really good reviews. And I think Naomi Novik has become like one of my favorite characters. So she might be someone that I will maybe want to read all of her books. Because I know she has a historical fiction fantasy series that involves dragons, I think.
I heard that she's going to write a book that's similar to Harry Potter.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I really like her writing style, so I'm excited about that. Have you read Harry Potter? Is that a no?
Anybody else watching that has not read Harry Potter? Because I haven't read Harry Potter.
Lori, no!
I'm going to read it in October because fall /
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna order it from the Grace. She says I just can't withstand those, but can you just try it? Just try it. It's so good. Thomas Dawson, no more Harry Potter. My dad, Lisa read my sister Lisa has read all the Harry Potter books, and she has been on my back for years to read it. I'm going to order it probably next month.
Yes,
kind of had to read Harry Potter because there were movies when I thought Harry Potter. Yeah. I'm actually going to order the UK editions because I really like those editions, so I'll probably order those from Book Depository. But yeah, I should probably do a vlog. 25-year-old turning 26, reading Harry Potter for the first time.
That would be a great vlog. And I would read it. I would reread it with you. I love Harry Potter. That's my childhood right there.
Oh no, get the illustrated editions. See, the illustrated editions are expensive. I love the illustrated editions. And I would love to have one, but hey, Dad, if you're still watching, birthday gift, illustrated Harry Potter edition, if you love me. I think everyone that's watching is going to know how much I love my dad because, he's just amazing. My dad's just so amazing. Love him. I also love Thomas, my husband. I love all you guys. Oh, man. I'll try. Oh, thank you, Grace. She says she's going to try it. Maybe. That says maybe. Yes, that's why they're coming out a year at a time, so you can put money aside.
See? That's true.
I'm not
Very
lying, Dad. I'm gonna need more wine, probably. Well, the good news is I'm not as nervous now. My shaking has stopped. But yeah, going back to the book, I am fine, Thomas. And the wine is not kicking in. I'm still fine. I'm not doing anything crazy or anything like that. My dad says, "Hi, Emily." Yeah, his name is Deacon Wally Calabrese. So yeah, that's my daddy. Shout out to my dad supporting us during our live discussion. So yeah, regarding the book, I'm not sure if there's, and Kendall finally joins in. Hi, Kendall. What is 1, 2, 3? I think, Dad, for 1 to 3, I think they're talking about the illustrated book editions 1 through 3. I think, maybe, I don't know. Goblet Fire. But I still have to order. I still have to buy the first 3 books before Goblet of Fire. Oh, goodbye, bank account. I'm just kidding. Thank you, Kendall.
Oh, that's good to know. I wanted to pre-order the Goblet of Fire, and I couldn't pre-order it. Now that I know why.
Oh, I've seen it. I've wanted it, but I purposely didn't bring it up to Thomas yet because of the price. The price.
Yeah, they're like $20 each.
Yeah, and they're like they're thick though. They're pretty thick, I think. Yeah.
Your dad has the DVD.
Yeah, but I want to read the books because, the books, from what I understand, there's more to the books than there are to the movies because in the movies, there's just stuff left out. At least that's what my sister's been telling me. So.
Yeah, that's very true. Your sister's read Harry Potter?
Yes, my sister is a book lover. She is a book lover. She's read all Harry Potters, and when the movie came out, she'd always tell me, "Laura, you need to read Harry Potter. You need to read Harry Potter." And it's been years since then. So you can only imagine her face when I told her that I'm reading now, like consistently. I think she about passed out. So, in a good way.
Conversation with your dad and your husband is so funny.
Yeah, they have this wonderful relationship. You should meet them in person and hear them talk in person. It's a party. It's a party.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm forgotten whenever they talk to each other, but it's okay. Oh, Lisa's rereading Harry Potter now. Well, that's good. Oh gosh. But yeah, I guess this is it for this live show because I guess we don't really have anything more to say about spinning silver. But Emily and I were thinking about making this like a regular thing. If we, read another book together, or if anyone wants to read with us, and we can just do another live show discussion, and then just, I guess, take turns doing live shows on channels. What do you think? So that might be an idea.
What she says.
What she says.
You can end it however you want. You can end it however you want.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. Okay. I guess I'll end it here because Emily wants to watch To All the Boys I Loved Before, even though I haven't read the book yet.
I want to watch the movie so bad.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna watch it together, probably message each other as we're watching. Grace, why are you saying no? I'm so lost. I'll probably have to message some people because I'm so lost with the group chat right now. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us for the live show. Hopefully, if you haven't read Spinning Silver, you guys, consider picking it up because it is really good, and I think we both would love to know your thoughts. So thank you to everyone, and also Emily, thank you so much for suggesting this and for joining me on my channel.
Yep. Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.